the bottle beside me, dropped the bottle opener, and when trying to reach down to pick it up, the bottle tilted and wine started pouring out of it, on my back, dripping down my spine. I let out a little yelp, and when she stood up, saw the wine and dropped the bottle right on my shoulder. I had a bruise for a week after. She tried to catch it and knocked it off the back of my head. So that's when a geyser of wine exploded out of the bottle and splashed on my neighbor to the left, staining the whole right sleeve of his white shirt. Then the bottle fell on my lap. I slowly picked it up, stood up, and gave the bottle back to Miss Waitress. There's probably a glass worth of wine left in the bottle. Also, the server had been removed for service for a few hours after the champagne incident. We only saw her again during dinner service, during the main course, when some of the staff had to take their breaks. The Cabernet incident happened right away, and the only other time I saw her was when she stopped me on my way to my room crying and trying to apologize. Okay, so she absolutely did not do that on purpose. Edit 3, I'll call my aunt later today. Thinking about it, I realized that as the bride, her opinion is the only one that actually counts. I'll post an update later today if my friend with this Reddit account is still good with me hijacking said account for a few more days. This final edit is 100% correct. If you're unsure about a dress and whether or not it's appropriate to wear to a wedding, contact the bride and ask her opinion. I wore a dress with like a little bit of like gray on it to my friend's wedding recently, and I had a couple of DMs that were just like, you're wearing white to a wedding. Listen, don't get it twisted. I asked the bride if it was allowed. It was a black dress with purple flowers and some patches of white, okay? That's not like, come on. The rule is, if you could pass for the bride, that's a no-no. It's not only a no-no, it's an absolutely not. Not the a-hole. The dress wasn't even a color that could be considered white adjacent, like light pink. It was black with white details. You can wear something like that to a wedding, I agree. It's not like everything white is off the table. It is entire white or white adjacent outfits that are off the table. Black with some white here and there, totally fine. And that's a gorgeous dress. Thank you. Let's not go around and bully people for wearing a black dress with white on it. Guys wear white pants to weddings. Women wear like sundresses that have, you know, patches of like colored flowers on them. The only white that I have an issue with at a wedding is if you look like a bride. Agreed, the black dress with white accents looks very nice for such a fancy event. Beyond that, although I personally find throwing wine trashy, it's the bride or perhaps her maid of honor who decide if a dress is too white and need to be destroyed through wine while the guest is still wearing it. The idea that a random woman who was present in a professional capacity and blundering about while doing so apparently did the right thing by attacking two guests is ludicrous. Yeah, it's not only you that she spilled the wine on, it's also the guest that was next to you.
Spilled wine on me.
How she even spill a full bottle violently enough to splash two guests instead of snatching it back? If it was one throwaway comment from your friend, I would disregard it. Their intrusive thought demon probably rammed it out of their mouth before they really thought it through. If your friend is a little clueless about casting a critical eye on gender norms and social customs, aka peer pressure from dead people, you can have a conversation about that if you like. The starting point might be this important clue. After the wedding, my aunt was furious at the employee. Would the aunt be furious if that was intentional? If your friend often undermines you in subtle or direct ways, maybe you can reconsider just how close your friendship is. OP responds, thank you for your concern, but knowing my friend, it was a throwaway comment and not them actively shaming me. I mean, it could have been like a joke, I guess.
Well, you were white to a wedding, so you deserve to get wine spilled on you.
And that was like a sarcasm type thing. But you felt bad enough about that you chose to write not only an initial story, but an update to find out if you're an a-hole because you felt bad. So the tone there might not have been as lighthearted. I never ever wear white or any color for that matter, other than the occasional red accent on a black plaid shirt. So the fact that the only time in my life that I wore white was at another person's wedding does seem sus when you don't know the full story. We're gonna head to the update. The update! Hey potatoes, hey! Just hung up with Auntie, congratulated her on her 10th wedding anniversary. They've been in Europe for over a month now for a second honeymoon, but I still managed to talk to her for about an hour before she had to leave her room to go to the restaurant. They're in Italy right now from what I gathered. So basically right away she said, I'm absolutely and definitely not the a-hole. Her opinion is the only one that matters! She loved the dress and was very happy that I followed the dress code. She apologized again for the Cabernet incident. I did learn some gossip surrounding the wedding though, and I thought I might share it with y'all. Ooh, I love a little tea, love a little gossip.
It's tea time!
First, dress code. It was very clear in the invite that this was a fancy event and therefore black tie attire was mandatory. I looked back at the invite and it states no cocktail dresses or casual clothes. For those of us with a limited budget, TIL that she contracted a company that offered rental dresses and suits to help out anyone who didn't have the money for such an outfit. All rentals were covered by the married couple. Honestly, your aunt and uncle sound super accommodating and generous. Not a lot of people would do this. From what I gather, almost half their guests took the offer, which which in retrospect explains how all the people my age were able to afford ball gowns and fancy evening attire like they did. Furthermore, the wedding planner had spare dresses and suits in her room in pretty much all sizes. So let me guess, someone still managed to show up underdressed.
I feel a little underdressed.
Provided by the rental company in case someone had to change for any reason, from not respecting the dress code to having major wardrobe malfunctions. This is so unbelievably thoughtful. Like, I am blown away by the thoughtfulness. Upon learning that new information, I asked why I wasn't offered a spare dress after the wine incident. Well, apparently her niece showed up with a short cocktail dress that morning, claiming it was the only thing she could afford. Auntie was mad because she offered many times to help her out with a dress worthy of the event, and she refused every time. So when the niece arrived at the venue with the cocktail dress, the wedding planner brought her to the room and had her changed into the emerald, A-line, rhinestone-covered gown I remember her wearing. That gown was the only size 4 though, therefore when I had my Cabernet shower, there was no spare dress for me. Anyway, I wasn't that uncomfortable, so even if the dress was still available, I might have kept the same dress on. Moral of the story, do not wear a cocktail dress to a black tie event. Now for the server. Oh my God. A week before the wedding, the couple and their children went to a venue and had a rehearsal dinner, sort of. They basically had the meal that we would be served at the reception and could give their comments as to what they like and didn't like, give some feedback on how they wanted the service to feel, and help them make the corrections before the big day. Everything was fine mostly. Only a few small edits required, including replacing all flutes and cups with crystal ones. They paid for it themselves as they didn't like the feel of the ones provided and told the company they could keep it after. Other than that, everything was perfect, except for this Miss Clumsy waitress.